What's up, everyone? What's going on?
Hey, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another wonderful show.
Yes, this one is going to be sweet because it's intellectual intimacy. Last week, we talked about like the raw parts of intimacy. This week,
Right,
we talk about like the sweet parts of intimacy.
right. What touches you mentally?
Yeah, because remember, the biggest sex organ in your body is your brain.
Yes,
Brain
definitely.
is not on the page.
People don't think like that sometimes, but or people don't admit to that. But
No, they don't.
that truly is one of the biggest. I get turned on by a woman that's smart, that's funny, that's intelligent, like that
So me.
has yeah, there you go. That has there you go. That has a lot more going on than just a fat ass or big breast. So that like to me that really is a turn on. To me, a woman that leads everything sexually is more of a turn off than a turn on to me. Because then I'm thinking, what else do you have to offer if
Yeah.
all you have to offer is sex? So
Well, it's like a lot of times I talk about like guys living a dick driven life.
right. And
So,
most of us do. I
but
can't I
when you
can't lie.
don't, when you don't, that's when things get really special.
Right. Right. And honestly, like even when you say the dick driven life, I
Mhm.
look at it like I hope when I'm 90 I'm still leading a dick driven life. But but my thing is on top of that physical part, you need that mental stimulation. I need something where we could sit and have a conversation. We could converse about different things. We could talk about different aspects of life and we stimulate each other on different levels. It doesn't have to always be about the physicality of things. So it's a funny situation. So
Like
I
I,
don't know.
a lot of times, like I talk about how like I'm a sports girl and I'm always into, um, you know, I can be very present watching baseball, football, basketball and hockey not so much, like
Hmm.
auto racing, Formula One, and like I can be very present. I know what I'm doing and I'm really can enjoy it. But on the flip side, I do like a guy that wants to watch TV shows with me,
Hmm.
like the shows that I really enjoy, like, watch it with me and we'll talk about it. Like, oh yeah, let's watch the coming attractions. What do you think is gonna happen to the main character? Like why did that happen? Why did this happen? Like right now, there's a lot of people out there, they're enjoying The Last of Us, which is
Hmm.
based on a video game. And like I dig it, like talking about that with my partner. And one of the things that I used to do when I was married that I really liked and I kind of miss, and I miss very few things about being married, um, was like we would buy a book and then get a copy of the same book out of the library and read at the same time
Oh, okay.
and talk about the book. Like it would be like a two-person book club.
Right.
And
That's
really, that was cool. I liked it a lot. It was one of those things like that made, and when you develop intellectual intimacy, it's one of those things that makes the sucky parts tolerable
right.
because
Right.
you're bonded and you're vested.
Because honestly, I feel if everything is all about sex, what is the relationship when you're not having sex? You can't
Yeah.
lay down 24/7, 365. So you got to be able to do something else. And if we can't have a conversation, if we can't have fun outside of the bedroom, what do we have?
Yeah. And it's like else do you what else do you need? What else do you like? Who do you think is, who would you pay to see you do comedy? What, what are the things like what kind of movies do you like?
Hmm. Like I have a friend that she likes to go out and go to the restaurants, try different restaurants in New York and stuff like that. And like that's cool. That's cool. It's fun. I'm not a big restaurant. I'm not a big foodie, but because she liked it, I'll be like, all right, let's go. Let's try it. See what's up. Whatever. Um, my clubbing days are far gone. Like I feel at this age in my life, at this stage, you know, even the lounge to me is played out now. Like been there, did that. But to go to a nice restaurant and eat, to go to a nice, like you said, a nice movie, to sit home and watch different documentaries or different TV shows and talk about the plot and what do we think about the characters and different things like that. To me, that's interesting, and it's good. It's like, and if you have someone that could hit you with different perspectives and you see things differently, even though you're watching the same show, sometimes that's good. So it's stimulating. Or you also see a person's perspective and the way they look at things or the way they're doing things. So I'm like, that's very good, and it's interesting. Like I said, so you want something like that, and you want to have someone that could sit down and you guys go into details about different aspects of life. To me, that's very good.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely. I mean, it's like it does make you closer. There's so much more to it.
Right.
Understanding art is big with me.
Hmm.
Like I make art and I'm likely to like give a person art as a gift because it's like that's my love language is like giving people things or acts of service. Like I give people things
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
like understanding and appreciating that I I'm creative and I need to create. Like I used to date somebody who was like, "Oh, I really don't want you to cook for me." Hmm,
That's interesting.
yeah. And I was like, he's like, "I'm very picky about my food." If people were coming over to his apartment, he would ask me to cook.
Hmm.
But if it was just for me and him, he was like, "No, I'm cooking. I'm really particular about my food."
That was kind of strange.
He was kind of strange, but anyway, he was like one of the brief ones that don't even make it on the list you give to your therapist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was like, huh. But And it made me feel like not understanding my need to destroy a man's kitchen.
Hmm.
Like, I need to be able to do that. I need to be with a guy that is absolutely delighted that I will use every pot, pan, cup, and dish in your kitchen to make
Right.
you food. Like, we're gonna throw down, I'm gonna use all 4 burners, and you should just tell me you love it because I don't wanna know any different.
That's it. And if he knows that that's something you're into, just just for the love of you, sure, like cook away. I'll get in there and help you out. I don't mind. Let's do this. But
Yeah,
but like I said, some people, instead of being selfless, they're selfish. And they look at things from the wrong perspective. Like I was talking to somebody about like friendship and companionship, and when we were speaking, I was saying it's not only about the intimacy of a man and a woman. Two friends, that's a companionship. And you got to think about, even with your friend, how do you navigate through the friendship? And even in a friendship, I want to be stimulated. I don't want to be around someone that I think is like dumb as a doorknob, even as a friend, because now I have nothing to learn from you. I have nothing to gain from you. And what are we doing around each other if intellectually I'm in my 50s and you're still thinking like a teenager? And I tell people that, like, even I'm going to flip it. Even when it comes to dating, and you're dating, I'm dating a grown woman, and she still has teenager tendencies. She's still talking about when she was back in high school and everything she did in high school. And all right, once in a while, it's all right to reminisce about things. But
but
if
don't live there.
right, if you're living in the past and you're living in your high school stage and you're in your 50s, I think you need to go talk to someone. So, like you said, you have to have that mental stimulation.
Yeah,
And if I'm a grown up and you're still dealing with life like you're a teenager, we can't stimulate each other because we have different needs. You still need to be a teenager, and I'm on some grown man shit, and I'm looking at things different. So it depends on a lot of situations, because it depends on a person's mentality and everything. Like I said, just because you're physically at a certain age doesn't mean you're mentally at a certain age. And there's a lot of people, men and women, that's still stuck when they were in high school. And it bugs me out, because I have a friend or two that's still like that. That
yeah,
every time we talk, they go back to, oh, remember the high school days? And I'm like, we haven't been in high school in over 20 something years. So, like, all right, it's all right to talk about it once in a while, but all the time, I'm like, nah. Or I'm talking to a young lady, yeah, when I used to date these guys in high school, and I'm like, okay, all right, but that's 20 something years ago. Oh, well, I'm still cool with some of the guys I used to deal with in high school and stuff. Okay, that's
yeah,
20 something years ago. Get past that. Like,
yeah. Let's move along. Let's
right,
move
right,
along in the like metaphorical sense. Let's just like
right, right.
push it.
You
And
gotta
remember,
break out of the cocoon.
no, we are not. But
Break
I
out of
remember
the cocoon.
growing up, one of the things my parents, who were married for like 46 years,
Mm-hmm.
my dad's thing. First of all, he will tell. anyone with ears in their head that the first time he saw my mother, he thought that she was the most beautiful girl he ever saw. Okay, all
But
right.
that's a different vibe.
That was a different vibe.
Right.
Thing that made him stick with it. One of his things, like still now to this day, is he was like, she had beautiful table manners.
Mm.
So growing up, whenever we went to a restaurant with my parents, which was like almost once a week, like they took the whole crew out. We had to like get cleaned up and good clothes and go eat in a restaurant. Was that like when the waitress came and like it was from diaper days until like now. When you're in a restaurant with my father, you act accordingly.
Hmm.
Having a family dinner that's indoors, you and whoever you bring will come to the table like clean and shiny. You'll like, please pass potatoes. Please, may I have another glass of wine? Thank you so much for that. This food is delicious. Even if you're going to go upstairs and make yourself throw it up, this food was delicious. Thank you for having me in your home for this dinner. Or thank the waitress like she brought the food from home in a box for you.
Hmm.
And don't ever take, essentially, it was kind of things like it showed my dad that my mother would not take things for granted. Because my dad always like would and still does like impress upon us like don't take things for granted because like once you got something swinging, it could be all taken away from you. So be mindful to be grateful for what you have in the moment. And that's like an definitely, for me, that's a definite intellectual turn on.
Right.
Is not looking over his shoulder for a better deal. Be present. Make a
That
woman think that she's enough, or make a man think that he's enough.
right. That is true, and that's one of the problems I feel that is in today's society. Like people don't take the time to let their significant other feel that they're enough because too many people are so caught up on Facebook and Instagram and likes and taking pictures and showing their body off and stuff like it's no intimacy is out of relationships. Your intimacy is with everyone else now. Like the way it is I look at it like at one time intimacy was just between a man and a woman or a whole family thing. Now all your intimacy, look at the Kardashians and people like that. Everything is on Instagram or Facebook, and to me that's crazy. It's no private. Nothing is private anymore. And to
A
me,
lot of the time, people are
right, I'm a
showing you
person that love that.
to see.
Say that again.
A lot of the time, people are showing you the life that they want you to see. The
Right,
might look greener because it's astroturf.
right. It doesn't mean it's real. It doesn't mean it's genuine. But that's just what they're showing. But my thing is, like I tell people all the time, and I tell young ladies that I know, some things are just for you and your partner. Everybody don't have to see you in your bra and panties. Everybody doesn't have to see me in my boxes. Like some things are just for you and your partner. And to me, that is kind of intellectual because some things is just for private. And I think society is so far gone that nothing is private anymore. Nothing is tactful anymore.
It's very true. Like, it's crazy because people take for granted the things that, like, people take for granted that they have all these chances in the world to, like, do things differently, or to have a, I'll just ditch this relationship and I'll go into the next one because this one
Right,
satisfying me, instead of trying to work at it.
right. It's no
No, I
people
know.
aren't willing. Yeah, they're not willing to put in the work anymore. Everything is instant gratification now. And I tell people all the time that a relationship is work. Nothing's gonna be easy and great 24/7, 365. You're gonna have things you disagree about. You're gonna have times you may get on each other's nerves, but that's the time when you show who you really are. If we could sit and we could converse and really talk about things, and really you listen to what I'm saying, I listen to what you're saying, and we take it for there, because a lot of people, they talk a good one, but they don't live it. So if you're just talking a good one, if I'm telling you this bothers me, that this is why it bothers me, and all you can say is, well, I like doing that. To me, that's a problem. And
That's a
and
big problem.
right. And if you can't try to work with your partner on what bothers them, what bothers yourself, all that is a big problem. And intellectually, that's selfish, that's unkind, and part of being in a relationship is being kind to one another and working with one another. And like I said,
Men do not understand that kindness and softness is so sexy. Not softness when you're out in the street, but like when you're home with your
mhm,
when you're home with your partner,
right,
and you give them like kindness and softness.
being empathetic to their needs.
Yeah, it's huge. It's so sexy. Like,
But I
being,
also I also think it used to be like that, but I think, like I said, women are just as bad now. I sit and watch some of these podcasts and listen to what some of these ladies say. Oh, I need a six-figure man that's 7'9" and that makes that drives a Lamborghini, and the guy will go, but what do you have? Oh, I'm cute. That doesn't fit. And then if all you want me for is what I can do for you, you don't want me. All you want is the sugar daddy. All you want is somebody that could accommodate your life and spend on you for what you want. So that's not cool. And like you said, I think society has lost romance. Society has lost its softness. Everybody wants to be hard. Everybody wants to be rah rah. This is how it has to be, and that's sad.
and people also get romance confused. Romance doesn't have to be like the big grand gesture.
Right.
Some of the most romantic things that someone can do for you
Or the small things.
are the small things. Like,
Hmm.
some of the most loving things for me are cleaning snow off my car.
Hmm.
The way to my heart is through cleaning. I don't ever have to clean snow off my car, I will follow you to the end of the earth. Second to that, like that's a lot has to do with my car.
Hmm.
Like second to that, pump the gas. If we're together, especially if I'm dressed up, just pump my gas. Like you don't even have to pay for it. Yeah, that's nice. That's gentlemanly, but it's my car. We're only going from here to the corner, and my car gets 400 miles to the gallon to the tank. So yeah, here's
Hmm.
my credit card. Just pump my gas. Like
But
don't
see,
make.
this the sad thing is, once again, in this day and time,
Oh, I don't think
there,
my mother ever pumped her own gas.
there's young ladies out there now, Barbara, that would tell you, "Oh, what you think I can't pump my own gas?" It's not that I don't think you could pump your own gas. It's me trying to be a gentleman. Oh, I don't need a savior. I'm not trying to be your savior. I'm trying to be a gentleman. And people get that mixed up. Like, it doesn't mean I don't think you're a liberated woman just because I want to pump the gas. It doesn't make me think, don't think I don't think you're a liberated woman because when we're walking down the block, I put you on the inside and I'm walking on the outside. That's just the way I was raised. That's what I was brought up. And they said a man walks on the outside and a woman walks on the inside. And it was broken down to me the reasoning for this. And I was like, that makes sense.
Snatch you up.
Right. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So it's just me being what I believe a man is supposed to be. And it's nothing wrong with a man being what he's supposed to be. And that's not to say that, oh, because you're a woman, you're supposed to be barefoot pregnant in the kitchen. I'm not saying that. Because like I always told Sean, I actually cook better than most women in the kitchen. So that's not to say nothing. Like I love getting in the kitchen and cooking and baking and different things like that. So it's nothing to that. But on top of that, I look at it like we have to definitely have a different vibe and look at each other in a different way and be able to just go out, enjoy one another, sit down, have a conversation, laugh, laugh at our surroundings. And that's that stimulation. That's that stimulation. If all you could talk about is how much your purse costs, how much the car costs, the fanciest this, no, that's not to me. Once in a while, talking about something like that, that could be cool, but I don't find that stimulating at all. We need different things that could stimulate us mentally, and then that stimulates me other ways after it goes there. So you need to be well rounded. I never liked, and this is another one Sean will tell you, I never liked loud, obnoxious people, men or women around me. I'm more reserved, I'm more laid back. So if I'm around people and they're just super loud and super obnoxious, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to get home now. So it's we have to have that conversation and we have to be able to go back and forth, but it has to be intelligent conversation.
Oh,
Sometimes it can be silly, but I know people that try to be silly 24/7. And I'm like, I don't get paid to be a comedian, so that's not for me.
I get it. I get it. The other thing that I think about when I think about intellectual intimacy is when you're with somebody who has a different background,
Hmm.
learn about where their people are from. Learn My ex-husband was Puerto Rican. I loved the music. I loved the food. I loved to dance. Like I loved it, loved it, loved it. I was with Dave for many years, and he's like Eastern European Jewish, and I learned to make like those foods.
Hmm.
And I learned a lot about like little things that I just never knew before.
Right.
And that's definitely intimate.
Right. One of my exes was Spanish and she was Puerto Rican. And I learned how to do the sofrito.
Yep,
I
from
could do the
scratch. Yep.
from scratch. I learned how to do that. I could sit there and cook and do the different dishes. And people were like, "Oh shit!" And I'm like, "This is what she enjoys." So I want to learn how to do this too. Like, so that I understand what you say that, and that is real. Like, you should be able to adapt and understand your person's background and things of that nature.
Well, I used to be kind of slick when I was married.
Mhm,
When my ex-husband's family was over, I would make like Italian food because that's actually what I cook best. Like it's not,
mhm,
it's just what I learned first. It's what I cook best. But then when my family, when white folks came by,
uh-huh,
I would throw down. I would make like pernil and arroz con condules with
right,
with, and they'd be like my parents thought it was a fucking miracle when I made like a big pernil, like a big ass orange colored crispy topped pork
mhm,
shoulder. They were like, "Look at our girl." I'm like,
right,
but that same pernil may not have had any 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 credentials with my ex's family. They probably would have picked it apart and been like, "Oh, she thinks she can cook now." So, but when they came over, I would make veal parmesan or something like that, and where like the veal was like a piece of printer paper, like so thin and flat and crispy, and because that's what I knew how to do. Or I'd make like shrimp scampi and things like that nature, and you kind of got to know how to give and take.
right,
That's also intimacy, knowing what battles to pick and what battles to walk away from.
true.
That's when your relationship is gonna like really stand the test of time. When you know, like, this is the boundary and this is the hill that I could die on.
And it's about give and take.
Yeah.
It's definitely about give and take because everything isn't a shouldn't be a fight. Everything should it's about respect for one another. And if your partner's telling you something makes them uncomfortable, try to understand what is making them uncomfortable, why it's making them uncomfortable. I've heard people tell people, "Oh, you're jealous." Like that's jealousy. No, it's not jealousy. It's certain situations to me shouldn't be. If you're a young lady and your man X is always on the phone with him or always around and you're uncomfortable with that, he should understand. That person is an X for a reason, one. And why do they feel so secure in like having that relationship? Like you have a new relationship now. I'm not saying you wish the person bad, but all right, our situation is over. I'm dealing with someone else. I got to make sure this person is good now. So I wish you the best, but you gotta handle life on your own. I'm sorry. And the only way I don't subscribe to that is in the way that say you have kids with this person. Now you have to deal with that person on a different level. But even on that level, you have to have boundaries.
There's also the thing too, a lot of times with exes, they some people tend to use their kids as a way to remain in your life forever.
Yes.
And that can definitely have like a very unhealthy impact on your current relationship.
Hmm.
And
That's true.
it's being able to listen to the new person and let them know, like, this is the situation. Yeah, you have a point, but this is what's going on.
Hmm.
And you have to know when, like, look, we've discussed this. We can't really discuss this anymore when you're talking to like your co-parent. We've discussed this and we're not making any progress discussing this. And I'm not going to have like a screaming fight with you in front of my new person because it just is uncool in every way. And I can't imagine you ever having like a screaming fight with your ex over the kids.
Nah,
Or a
never.
screaming fight with anybody over anything.
Nah,
But
nah. I don't allow that. I'll go, but so far. And if it's getting to that point, I'm like, all right, listen, you got it. Deuces later. It's not worth it. It's not worth your peace. It's not worth your time. And if a person doesn't want to understand you and doesn't want to work with you, then they're not worth it. They're like you have to understand, like I said, a relationship is work. And people think everything is easy now. They want everything like microwaved. And
yeah,
I'm sorry, it can't be like that. Like if you really want something to work, you got to put in the work. And people really don't get that, and that's the saddest part of a lot of things. Like people aren't willing to put in that work. People aren't willing to put in the time. They the respect is lacking, and in relationships, you gotta have the respect. You gotta have the tolerance. You gotta put in that time. And it's just like you said. It's you stimulate one another. You work with one another. You play with one another, and you let that person know like you're important to me. And if a person's not important to you, you show it. Because if you're telling, like I said, it goes back to if you're telling a person over and over, this bothers me, and they seem not to give a damn, believe how a person is treating you. And you react accordingly. That's it. That's it. And the stimulation and the way they adapt to different things, it says a lot about the person you're dealing with. And if a person's always trying to divert and put all the responsibility on you, that also says a lot about the person you're dealing with. Because it can't be one person in a relationship fighting for the relationship. It has to be both of us.
it absolutely does. And having like I don't think I think for me one of the deal breakers would be someone who was like a politically conservative person, like very politically conservative.
Hmm.
I think for me that would be like a big deal breaker. But someone should be able to tell you their point of view without you being a jerk about it,
Mhm.
especially if you love them. Like that is what you believe. Like for me, it's one of those, it's a strong stand. There's a lot of other things. Like for me, politics and religion kind of have to align. Like I,
Right.
somebody that absolutely has to go to church once a week, I can't with that. Like somebody who's gonna possibly like, somebody that's gonna make political choices that I'm very uncomfortable with. I can't do that because it's not. There's a lot of things that I'm like, hey, do you? But those are some of the things that I'm just not. And I might let you tell me what brought you there because I do have people that I genuinely love with all my heart that don't vote the way that I do. But I don't
Mhm.
know if I can like do that day in, day out and have intimate conversations thinking that politically like they're a dipshit. Because I think it would cause me to doubt them in other areas unfairly,
Right.
admittedly unfairly, because how can you believe this and then tell me you believe that?
Right.
Because somewhere, something in that equation starts to smell like bullshit to me.
Mhm.
A lot of other couples where, it's a seamless thing. Like they don't talk about it, it doesn't matter, and they go on with their lives. But there's other things in their life that's their thing. Like, no, you do this, this, and that all the way without ever being told, and or that's a deal breaker. Me, it's like religion and politics. Like I could never. Mm-mm, I am never, ever, 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 ever going to like be that woman that gets dragged to church and has to put on the good face. I got really hurt in that scenario once in my life, and I don't ever want to do it again. I saw somebody who claimed to be like a person, like a godly person,
Mhm.
and they like destroyed my life. And I mean, I was lucky I was strong, but they told me all kind of crazy shit in the name of like being being saved or being like part of their religious organization or whatever. And it's like I could not find that trust in my heart again because I got to see up close and personal that it's all bullshit. And yeah, you know, if you want to tell me why it's not, please go ahead, hit us up in the chat. But not me.
A lot of people just really don't get it.
No.
And they don't take the time to get it. And that says a lot.
Yes.
That says a lot. If a person doesn't take the time to get it, if a person doesn't care to get it, to me that says more than everything. Because that means they don't think you're willing to fight for. They don't think you're worthy of them stepping out their comfort zone.
Yes.
And part of love, part of intimacy, part of it all is being able to step outside your comfort zone and say, look, this is what I believe, this is how I see things, this is what I want to do. And if you can't embrace that, you can't embrace me.
No, agreed. agreed. And I think that it's like love multiplies. It's not, love is intimate, and there's no, like, if I give you this much, then I have less. It's like, no, if I give you this much, I can come back tomorrow and give you this much, and I can come back the next day and give you this much.
Right.
That's the way that it works. So, like, if you're uptight about sharing who somebody is as a person, sharing who you are as a person,
Hmm.
then you probably don't have a very good reason to like share your body with them. And as we get older, like us people that have been single for a long time, like unmarried for a long time, it gets easier to share your body than your thoughts.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. Because it's like whether or not I open myself up to you, the sex is probably still going to be good.
Right.
Whether or not I come correct and give you softness and vulnerability and kindness and tell you like what's going on in my heart, that's all good, but that requires some level of courage. And intellectual intimacy definitely requires a level of courage.
Hmm.
Like you got to be thinking, what does this make me do? What does this make me feel? How am I going to feel if they don't share this like with me?
That's true. And it it's so funny that people get wrapped up and all about what they feel and all about what they want. And like I said, when you're in a relationship, it's supposed to be like, what do we want? What do we need? And of course, you want to make sure your partner's good. Your partner should want to make sure you're good, and you ride out together. And when you do that, it takes you to a whole nother level now. And then you guys could do all sorts of things together, make each other happy together, have the most fun together. Like you said, you a sportswoman. And if you're with a guy that enjoys sports, do you know how great it is to go to a game with a woman that actually embraces the game, actually enjoys watching the game? Like I have brought women around my mother, right? My mother loves watching baseball and basketball. And ladies are like, "Oh wow, your mom is." I'm like, "Yes." Me and my mom sit and talk shit about the game all the time. Do you know how cool that is? And her boyfriend or whatever you want to call him, they'll sit there, they'll watch the game together, they'll laugh, they'll joke. When the team is winning, they're rah-rahing together. To me, that is so cool
Yeah,
because that's a connection away from the physical connection, and you're having fun, you're having a good time. And like I said, if you can have a good time away from the physical and you're having a lot of joy and a lot of fun, now when it's time for that physical, it's on a whole nother plane because you're already so happy, so enthused, you could just be free and let yourself go. You're not all pent up and bottled up and like now just do you and have a good time. And people should really understand that, but people don't get it. And I'm like, you have to take the time to understand and get it and make this work. But people really don't.
yeah. That's like one of the biggest things. And it's one of the happiest things. And it's like if you're lucky enough to get that, work on it. Work on finding more things.
Right. That is very true. That is so true. And you have to find your joy with your mate and make it work for the both of you. And that's it. That's it.
Absolutely.
It's out
Um,
there, but just make it work. Enjoy life. Play board games. Play word games. Just do different things like and make life fun. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a battle. It doesn't have to be a controversy all the time. It doesn't have to be a fight about what each of you want. Not saying that you want the same exact things, but you should work at making one another happy, not just yourself, not just themselves, but across the board. That's what it should be. That's what it is.
it doesn't really appeal to me per se, but I know it's like a big deal with people that are like the generation under us and younger. Like, if you're a gamer,
Yes,
yeah, if you're a gamer, like I know my older son, I can't imagine him being with a woman who has no interest in gaming and Star Wars and like these things are lifelong passions for him.
that's actually Layla and my son.
Yeah, so you get it. It's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass in Call of Duty,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna tap your ass.
That's there you go.
Ding,
There you
ding, ding.
go. There you go. Yep.
Yeah, loser is
And
a bottom.
right. There you go. And they like that. They enjoy that. That like I said, that's fun. That's 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 something you could do away from the bedroom, but you bring it to the bedroom later. Like you had so much fun. I kicked your ass there. I beat you up there. Now I'm gonna beat you up here. What? So it's
it it gives it that spark.
right, right, and it intertwines,
Yeah, and it's a shared passion.
and that's very important. Like me, I'm into music. I a person that could sit there and talk music with me, and I go back to, like I said, I was half the songs I love. I wasn't even born when they came out, but I love music like that. So if a person could sit there and talk about the Motown era with me and Stax records and different things like that, to me that's so cool because like this was when I was a small kid. My parents were listening to certain songs, and I would sit down and listen to it and be all into this. And like to me, it was so cool. So now, if I have a woman and she could sit there and be like, "Oh my God, my girl was such a great song,"
Yes,
and different things like that, I'm like, "Yes, that is great." Or Stevie Wonder was such a great singer, and you're like, wow, you're really into that. Or somebody's telling me, oh, Bono, he was dope, like he could do his thing. And people didn't even understand like the vibe and the feeling you get from that. So that right there is a lot. Like I said, that intimacy that you share together, that you're vibing with, is so deep and so cool that you're like, okay, I could mess with this person definitely. I see what they're about. I see how they're vibing, and it's cool. And I'm like, yes,
like one of my big things is I've been I've been called a show ho. I will
Huh.
go see live music. I don't particularly care about the genre. I care about the energy. I feed off the energy. I don't care if
Mhm.
it's like free band in the park, bad bar band, or like Springsteen at MetLife. Like to me, it's all the same. And I've actually been fortunate enough when I was very young to like really young, I got to see the Temptations.
Mhm.
It was half of them were gone, but it was like mostly like a Dennis Edwards show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw Smokey Robinson. Um I almost saw Diana Ross, but I pulled the plug on that loser. They had the Diana Ross tickets. But anyway,
Oh, wow.
I've seen like all the classic rock bands.
Mhm.
Um a lot of the like the most important names in like salsa music. I saw all of them. And
One of my best friends, his father is Johnny Pacheco,
I met him.
and people used to bug out like that. I would know the songs and stuff like that. And then like even like with Billy Joel and all, my music taste is so eclectic. Like
Yeah.
I listen to a little of everything. I love jazz. So like Bob James and people like that. Then I'm gonna mess your head up. I even like the big band era.
Oh yeah.
Glenn Miller, Glenn Miller, Bob Lombardi, and stuff like that. I love that stuff. I'm like I said, a musical person. So the instruments, the different sounds, the eclectics, and I love stuff like that. So I always would be like, yo, let's go check out this show. Let's go see this person. Let's go check this out. That is such a vibe. And like I said, if you could get someone to vibe with you like that, and you could get into the music, it is so good,
Yeah.
so great.
I'm definitely about that. And like anything, any classic disco.
Yes, yes, yes.
Like a 12-inch remix, just you get to just feeling nice and somebody
People hate on disco.
remix.
People hate on disco, but I feel that was one of the best eras ever. It was such a vibe.
Yeah.
Like the groove, the acoustics, everything was just smooth.
If
So
you're looking for music that fit what like a music appreciation professor would tell you what music was,
right.
disco wasn't that. And a lot of like R&B wasn't so much that.
Hmm.
But if all you care about, and really it's all I care about, is how you're vibing when it's on,
That's what it's about.
yeah. And it was this summer when my niece was getting married, she was like mulling over using my mother's favorite song as her wedding song.
Hmm.
And it's not really a wedding song, but she was like, if you listen to the words, that's how I felt when I met him, that he just made things make sense. And it wasn't really like a wedding song, but it was one of those songs that my mom would always listen to when she had something on her mind, and it just became something that was comforting to all of us,
Hmm.
you know. And her picking that, it was kind of like, wow, that's kind of random but nice. And like my mom is no longer with us, and she wouldn't have her grandmother at her wedding. That's kind of cool. But when she actually did it and everybody got to experience what went into her choosing that song, like I think even the DJ was crying.
Wow.
It was one of those like super deep moments where like the first minute of the song you're like, huh, that's an odd choice. But then by the time it was over, it was like,
Wow.
yeah. And it's like a unifier and understanding why somebody would feel that way about something that's not physical. Like
True.
it could take your heart and your brain to the places that your body really can't go.
That is true. Well, Miss, it's time for us to go.
It is time for us to go.
It was a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And I will announce probably tomorrow what our next topic is.
All right, let's get
Mhm.
it. And
Next, this time, this place.
okay. And I appreciate everyone for joining in and spending time with us.
Thank you.
See you next. All right.